So welcome again to the second webinar about this microbiome, which is today specifically about the skin microbiome and cosmetics. So first of all, I would like to give again a short introduction into the skin microbiome and how it looks like. So the microbiome of the skin is kind of a layer that you can imagine like your body is covered with like a carpet of microbes that is already the first line of defense, which is actually invisible, but it is there and it's on your skin and it's defending your skin from external factors. So in numbers, our skin microbiome is consisting of around 1 million microbes per square centimeter. And what is interesting is that the body site diversity is higher than the individual diversity, which means that my face microbiota is more similar to your face microbiota than my face microbiota would be to my feet microbiota, for example. That is very interesting, and something that is that we know is the establishment of the skin microbiome is already starting with birth. So it's already very crucial if the baby gets delivered via cesarean section or vaginal birth, because then they're facing different microbes. So ideally they should face the lactobacilli from the vagina, which then form the ground or the fundament for the next bacteria and viruses and fungi to grow and flourish there. So this is already a crucial step. And then throughout the first 2 to 3 years of life, the microbiome of the skin is colonized, and it's going to be quite stable for after that. So in the beginning, the skin is quite like a white unwritten paper, and it's able to soak in all microbes that it's meeting like a sponge, but it has to be like in the right way. Besides the environmental factors, our microbiome is also drawn by genetics. So our genetics already form kind of the landscape on our skin that is then allowing certain bacteria and microbes to flourish and grow there. We have a core in the transient microbiome. The core microbiome is located in the deeper skin layers. The transient microbiome is on the surface of the skin, and it might also represent what you've just been touching and is more representing your actual environment than the deeper skin microbiome. Something that we have to always keep in mind is that the science around the skin microbiome is very, very complex, and it's very young. So it's not only that it's very complex, we also add up the techniques that we are using to analyze the skin microbiome. They are very different from lab to lab where it's being analyzed, and that's also adding up to the complexity. And although it's very complex, we still know a little bit. We already know a little bit, but still we have a lot to learn about it. So we have to be very cautious when we're talking about we want to improve or do something to microbiome, because science is actually not there yet. But still we know which bacteria, more or less, and fungi and viruses grow on our skin, and it's corynebacteria, Cutibacteria. These are the ones that were formerly known as propionibacteria, Staphylococci, and Malassezia, which is a fungus. So what is the microbiome good for? As I said already, it's a kind of a shield that is protecting our skin from external factors, and it's kind of really occupying the body space so that pathogenic invaders are not able to colonize. So that is already one big task. And on top of that it's even able to produce molecules called bacteriocins that are fighting off pathogenic invaders, microorganisms. But it's also able to induce the skin's immune system to produce such molecules, and it's also boosting the host's immunity towards invaders. So it's working closely together with the immune system, but it's also teaching the immune system to not overreact against harmless compounds. You probably have heard about this gut-skin axis. Of course, our gut microbiome is influencing the skin microbiome and the skin's physiology. So it's all going hand in hand, and that's also like, again, adding up to the complexity of this whole interaction. And as I said, the genetic predisposition and external factors together can then lead to dysbiosis, which then result in atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, dandruff, dry skin, and so on. So if we now, with what we know about the skin microbiome and how it influences skin health, have a look at the cosmetics market, the first thing that pops up in my mind, which is really like the worst thing we have ever done to our skin microbiome, is the invention of soap. So soap is the enemy of our microbiome. It is stripping off our bacteria from our skin every time we take a shower and use soap. So, but not only soap is a problem in the cosmetics industry, it's just a start. And then when you think of everything that we're supposed to use on our skin is containing, I don't know, 20 ingredients, and we have 5 products, and then we have like 100 ingredients that we add to our skin on a daily basis. This is, of course, a major factor that is influencing our skin microbiome. If we look at the microbiome cosmetics market, so cosmetics that are claiming to do something to the microbiome, to be good to the microbiome, or that are specifically developed for the microbiome, we are facing a problem with lack of regulations, and only a fraction of those products that are working in this microbiome cosmetics market have scientifically substantiated claims. And that is, from my perspective, a big problem, because on one hand, we have the microbiome science, and we know that the microbiome is playing a huge role in a healthy skin. And on the other hand, the market is already like ahead of science and claiming a lot of things which are sounding really good to the customer, but we need to be really careful that this is not taking the microbiome science into a bad light. So that's kind of my mission, to educate the cosmetics industry and the customer about the microbiome topic, and also about which products or how the products can be good for the microbiome. And a big part of the microbiome cosmetic industry is the pro, pre, and postbiotic terms. A lot of products use the terms, they're adding whatever kind of bacteria and call them probiotics, and therefore they are good for the microbiome. But first of all, a large proportion of so-called probiotics on the market is not a probiotic, but rather postbiotic. The problem is there's no definition in the cosmetics market for those type of ingredients. And the only definition we have is coming from the nutrition sector. And there the definition sounds like this. It's live, this is already important, live microorganisms that, when administered in adequate amounts, confer a health benefit to the host. So that is something, first of all, the probiotics needs to be alive. And then it's already very tricky to put a live bacteria into a product, into a cosmetic product, and keep it alive. And then on top of that, there need to be real good clinical studies in place that show actually the benefit of this probiotic strain in the product. And there's only a small fraction on the market who really did that work and did their homework, but this is really only a small fraction. And if we go further and look at the claims, the science for improvement of the skin microbiome is just not there yet. So what are possible claims on the microbiome cosmetics market? everything you can do to a healthy microbiome is to not harm it and to respect the balance and the diversity of the microbiome of the skin. Improvements are only possible with skin conditions like acne or eczema. Here we know which ones are the bad bugs, and the ideally thing would be to specifically kill those bugs like Staph aureus, for example. And there's already some probiotics there which are feasible of doing so. So in conclusion, cosmetics should respect the skin's microbial balance in order to be microbiome friendly. So this is an example of what a cosmetic product can do to our microbiome. This is a bacteria that normally lives on our skin and grown in the lab. On the left-hand side, you see a agar dish where we applied a product that is microbiome friendly. On the right-hand side, there's a product applied which is not microbiome friendly, and you directly see the impact of that product on the microbiota. So what should we consider when developing or formulating a microbiome-friendly product? I have listed up some ingredients here which may play a role in disturbing the microbiome, but it's not like each ingredient would be a problem, but if you add them up to each other, like on top, if you have preservatives, alcohols, plant extracts, essential oils, fragrances, and so on, they probably have a bad effect on the microbiome. So when you're looking at preservatives, you might, first of all, think of using mild preservatives by using a different packaging and adapt your formulation. Alcohol is, of course, not always bad. There's good and bad alcohols. Plant extracts, essential oils are also fine if they're used in small amounts, in low concentrations. Fragrances, I think, in my opinion, it's not necessary. If you have essential oils, you already have your whatever, but fragrances add up to it. Surfactants, of course, play a role, and in the end, antibacterials. But of course, you have to ask yourself the question, do you want to have a product that is killing microbes? For example, a hand sanitizer, then it's not supposed to be microbiome friendly. But for daily use products such as hydration products or sunscreen or cleansing, it would be the best to have microbiome friendly products. And since the cosmetics market is lacking the regulation, we developed a microbiome friendly certification where we rigorously test the products for their influence on the skin's microbiome. We are providing the seals, as you can see here. There's a big seal with more details and small seals for the packaging. So that is how it would look like. And the way we're testing is we develop different standards for different body sites because each body site harbors a different set of microbes. And we developed standards for the skin, for the body and face, for the scalp, infant skin, vaginal tract, for feet, mouth, and nose. And what we do, we look at the key players of each specific body region, and those microbes are culturable in the lab. And we're looking at different, like we have a huge setup of tests which include we're looking at the influence from different perspectives. We're looking at the diversity, where we have a set of bacteria growing together in the presence of the product, and we see how this interaction with the product is influencing the bacteria all together. Then we're looking at the vitality of the microbes in presence of the product. So does the product kill the bacteria or not? And we have a test that is called the balance test, where we have added a good and a bad bug, and we want to see if the product is creating an environment that is either good for the growth of the bad or the good bug. So it should not foster the growth of the harmful bacteria. And actually, before all the microbiome testing, we do a test of the microbial quality. because we don't want to have any contamination that would disturb our testing. We're working with a number of big players from the cosmetics industry worldwide. We're working with the US, Europe, Asia. We're working with small brands, with big brands, with ingredient suppliers, and they are really coming from all around the world. And this is just a small fraction of the companies that we're working with. And with this, I would like to end and thank you very much for your attention. If you're interested in the certification or if you have any question around the skin microbiome or formulation, just drop me an email at info@microbiome-friendly.com. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.